warmly welcome you to this workshop, Digital Lab, how to and why. So thank you for all of you attending that workshop. Medical laboratories must fulfill highest quality requirements while working efficiently and patient-friendly. So this digitalization is something what really helps us to optimize this, to do this, and that optimization into these in our increasing complex settings there is something what really leads us and helps us to support us to deliver the high quality we need to deliver. So therefore, I'm really glad to offer you a few insights into digitalization today. We have 3 presentations. The first presentation will be a little bit about the general aspect of digitalization of labs. The second one is going very deep into the implementation aspect of a specific project. And the third one is then focusing also on the effects you will get and you can harvest by digitalization. So I hope we can offer you quite a good story for the next minutes. And I would like to start with the first presentation, then with Henk Ruven. First, before we start there, I really would express my thanks to the sponsor of that workshop, Tracie Healthcare Solutions and Greiner, which makes it possible to give us these insights. Henk Ruven is clinical chemist in the Department of Clinical Chemistry at the St. Antonius Ziekenhuis in Netherlands, and is doing this for many, many years, very experienced and have experience with digital projects, and he's giving us the presentation about digitalizing preanalytics challenges from a hospital lab perspective. And go ahead, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. von Meyer, for this introduction. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. When Tracie asked me to tell you something about digitalization of a hospital lab, it's an opportunity for me to think, well, we are doing a lot of projects, and what are the real criteria when if some projects succeed and others do not succeed. And I really want to share with you some of the insights when we are all struggling with digitalization projects. So I'm working in a hospital lab, so I will just make a view of the setting. So I'll tell something about the hospital, about the in-house lab, which is a hospital clinical chemistry lab, and then some of the examples of digitalization projects. So this is the hospital. It's a St. Antonius hospital in the middle of the Netherlands, 6 locations, 26 medical specialisms, a lot of patients, more than 6,000 employees, a large teaching hospital, general hospital in the middle of the Netherlands, and there is a focus on cardiovascular, pulmonology, oncology, and the hospital is very innovative in value-based healthcare approach, and they collaborate with 6 other general hospitals in the Netherlands, which is called the Santion Group, and we are really into data science. So there is a building of a health intelligence platform with all kinds of data to do AI and data science. Let's go to the organization chart of the hospital. This is of course an enormous bunch of departments and people working in our department, and you see the clinical chemistry lab. Now you have an opportunity to learn some Dutch language, as you can see. So there are a lot of departments, a lot of labs. We have facilities, we have purchase, information management, finance, human resources, and these are all stakeholders. So I want to stress that it's all about stakeholders. That's what we learned about it. That's what I learned in the last week when I prepared these presentations. Apart from the stakeholders, of course, companies who are willing to support us in our innovations. The doctors, the medical staff, the executive board, everybody, these are our stakeholders. And if you are in a hospital lab, you have to be sure who are your stakeholders. And this is the in-house laboratory, the Department of Clinical Chemistry. We offer a broad range of services and tests completely fit to the needs of the medical doctors in our hospital. About 170 FTE personnel, 4.5 million test results per year. And then you see our colleagues of the application management, the application specialists. And these 6 people are the connection to other departments, Department of IT, the EPIC teams. We have EPIC as a hospital information system. So they are the ones who are always involved if you are working on digitalization projects. So, what discerns a digitalization project from other projects? Well, in some way, that's not so different, but in another way it is. Well, digitalization is all about to standardize and reduce complexity of daily life of healthcare professionals, with the ultimate goal to ensure quality standards and optimize care. And it's about increasing efficiency and efficacy. And in most of those digitalization projects, far more than one department is involved. And the challenge is to meet all variation between patients and needs of doctors which are present in a hospital setting. And digitalization is more and more urgent because of shortage of staff. And digitalization, the most gain can be get in the pre-analytical phase. And I still like this picture of the iceberg of errors of the working group on pre-analytics of the EFLM. That's still the biggest challenge at this moment. Okay, let's get back to this hospital and how to get your projects funded. In our hospital, we have a different set, well, a lot of groups of different types of projects. We have projects which are within the department, low cost, no problem. You can easily start such a project. And it's almost always successful. Some projects are over several departments. Some are hospital-wide, have to do with patient care. Others have to do with supporting procedures in the hospital. You have the regional project, national projects, hospital programs projects, and you have building and renovation projects. And all those groups, each group has its own procedure for funding, to get staffing and budget for those kind of things. And especially in our hospital, we have a priority list on IT projects. You can be on a waiting list, and the IT department does not have enough staff to do all the projects. And I really want to share this insight, and well, I think a lot of you will recognize this. So this project landscape of the St. Antonius Hospital is like a Dutch tulip. They're all different and flourishing, and it's really great. And I want to continue with some examples of digitalization projects that we are running. So I'm going to show you 5 projects which are still not finished. And after the invitation, I thought, well, let's make it for myself, and I want to share it with you. Some kind of traffic light. It's not really a traffic light, but these are the important things if you start digitalization projects. And the number 1 is stakeholder management. And that's not only, well, the clinicians want this and this, and it's even more. You need to know of each stakeholder what their own programs are, what their own project is. It sounds very easy, but it's very important. And then the risk if you change things in the working procedures. People, nurses, doctors, they have to change their way of working, and especially in projects which seem not to add very much new, then it's very difficult. But we really run risk programs. And then the investments, of course, the budget, and in the time point cycle, and medical quality, of course, that's also there. And we experience that faster turnaround times remain the number 1 wish of our medical doctors. And that's a very comfortable and great situation we are as laboratories. So, I'm going to show you 3 very successful projects which run very great and very nice. So this is a pneumatic tube system. We do have a tube system, but this is the second one. 2 lines to the emergency department to the lab, and 1 from the ICU to the lab. Stakeholders, everybody thinks, well, it's great, it's fine. not everybody understands where the system is for. They understand why you have to use it. So stakeholders on green risk, not so no high risk because it's an additive to the other tube system. Investments are not so big, and medical quality, well, there is some improvement of turnaround time. Nice project. Everybody thinks, well, let's do it clinical chemistry, so we are going to do this. Second one, the venipuncture robot. Also a project we collaborate on and try to use this robot in our hospital. Stakeholders, it's green. Everybody likes a venipuncture robot. Everybody understands what a venipuncture robot does. And risk investments, medical quality, it's yellow, it's okay, it's okay. It's my personal view. And and you see my colleague Thijs van Holten here. He's very happy with his venipuncture robot. And he's in the newspapers in the Netherlands and everywhere. And it's a good publicity for the hospital. And then another one in our hospital is the medical drone project. So in the Netherlands we have a cooperation of the Royal Dutch Touring Club ABB and the National Parcel Deliverer, and they want to start a network of medical drones. A number of hospitals they connected to this group, and what you see here at the roof of our hospital. And the second person to the left is Angela Bikker, another colleague of mine. She's in the room. You see, she's very happy with the medical drone. This is also a lot of publicity, it's great. So those kind of projects, which all have a digitalization component at the end, in the beginning, they run very good because everybody knows, all stakeholders understand this. Now we come to two of my projects where I'm very fond of. The first one is the pre-barcoded blood collection tube. So I started already a few years ago. This is really what we have to do. I really think if we start using this blood collection tube with the software, the medical quality will enormously improve because of the laboratory errors in the pre-analytical phase. But nevertheless, I have to put stakeholders in red. Why? Because if I talk in the hospital to the nurses and the doctors, they say, oh, we have to change our procedures. There is no labeling anymore, and what's going to happen? So it's not really, it's going fairly well at this moment, so why should we change? The other one is the Department of Microbiology. We do also the collection of tubes for the microbiology department, and these are only a few thousand tubes a year. But they say, oh, we don't want to have those tubes, there is no name on it and everything. And I know there are solutions for that, but at least two stakeholders are not really positive about this tube. And I like this project very much. I think this is really the future of our hospital. And then the third one, we just replaced a large number of label printers in the hospital. So that has to do with the investment cycle and the time of moment. So if I come to the department and say, oh, we don't need those label printers any longer, that's not the way to deal with stakeholders. So I really think this is a great project, but stakeholders is very important, your internal stakeholders. Next one, last one. This is prediction modeling. So we did a pilot with a clinical decision support tool. We wanted to see whether on one of the value-based healthcare groups, patients undergoing surgery after renal carcinoma, we can predict the values of CRP, EGFR, and hemoglobin in the follow-up. This was published in the Young, work by Madeleine Bosma. She's now working in a group of Christa Kovac at the University of Meyer. And it looks, well, basically what we did, we took all the data before the operation, all the data. So not only the lab, not the patient, but the size of the body, the operation time period, everything. And we were able to predict CRP, EGFR, and hemoglobin values in the weeks after the operation for individual patients. Goes very well. So that means patients don't need to come to the hospital or to another blood collection point for checking lab values. So there's a huge improvement of medical quality if we can use those kind of algorithms for all patient group in the hospital. So that's why the medical quality is green, is really. But this needs enormous investments because we need a real-time module connected to the EPIC, to the hospital information system. That's what you finally need to get this running. And the doctors, they still think, oh, we need some validation, basically of algorithms. They really don't know what we have to teach them, what it means if you use an algorithm, whether they can rely on the outcomes of the lab values after the operation. So there's a lot of work to be done. Stakeholders are not positive at this moment, but this has a huge impact. So, finally, I think, and that's my message to you, I think as clinical chemists, we really, if you work in a hospital lab, in that situation, you really have to know your stakeholders, you have to talk to everybody, you have to drink coffee with them, you have to know exactly what they're going to do, and then the risk investments, also very important, really important, but stakeholder management, know your colleagues in the hospital, that's the number one. Thank you very much.
Presentation, we have Chiara Carrisi here, and she will present us the implementing digitized processes in experience sharing. Chiara is the general manager of the Sant'Agostino lab in Centro Medico Sant'Agostino in Italy. And her professional background in healthcare management, she's working there at this lab for 3 years now, since 2015, right? Okay, so it's a little bit more than 3 years. Okay, so I think we get now the idea of the implementation. Looking forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Chiara Carrisi from Centro Medico Sant'Agostino. First, I would like to thank you, Tracie, for inviting me to this event. I am very happy today to share with us my experience. 2 words about me. Let me introduce myself. I am a biologist. I worked as a scientific researcher for about 8 years. Then I did a master in healthcare management and I joined the Sant'Agostino company. Here I was Chief Operating Officer for about 6 years, during which I opened several clinics and managed their business. 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to combine my clinical skills with the managerial one, and I set up a new in-house laboratory, of which I am now the General Director. What is Centro Medico Sant'Agostino? Centro Medico Sant'Agostino is a network of 35 private clinics operating in some Italian regions, Lombardia, Lazio and Emilia-Romagna. It was born in 2009 and the turnover was in 2022 60 million euros. We offer quality specialistic services, affordable for most people. We do everything can be done outside the hospital, for example, medical visits, controls and diagnostic exams. We are doing big investments in innovation and technology to digitize all business processes. Thanks to this, we are growing an average of 40% every year. So we are now among the 1,000 fastest growing companies in Europe. What is Sant'Agostino Lab? Sant'Agostino Lab is the new in-house laboratory of Centro Medico Sant'Agostino. It was born in November 2021 in order to run all exams required in our clinics. In 2022, we carried out 1 million exams and we took care of 120,000 patients. If we search in Google esami di laboratorio Milano, we are the first result, no sponsor. And we have searched without Milan, we are the second result. So I would like to show it through its amateur video. Relating to patients, to nurses, to technicians and doctors. Wow. We want to, in this way, eliminate errors, reduce low-value work, optimize costs, quantify activities and actions, to collect data, to improve communication, but above all, to grow faster. We have just been acquired by a big insurance company, Unipol. We obtain important economic funds and we plan to open other 80 clinics in 3 years by 2026. In this context of strange innovation, we have drastically changed the entire patient journey. The patient can book independently in our website. I show it. The patient can consult the reporting times and the prices, and also he can choose different exams in this way. Okay. So it can be fast-checked in the clinic by app geolocalization and speed up check-in by showing the desk staff the QR code obtained during this booking. As for example in Uber, you can pay by credit card charge at the end of the service, and as in Amazon, can follow the tracking of his tubes. We show him the state of the sample. So the sample is in the clinic, the transport in progress, the sample is in the lab, analysis in progress, report ready, report late and arriving on day X. The patient can receive invoice and report in a dossier, and also receive a talking report that explains him every item. We do it because we don't want that the patient search this information on Google. He receives different levels of assistance, first of all via bot, voice bot, chat bot, and I hope very soon via chat GPT. About the lab, the activities can be divided in pre-analytical, analytical and post-analytical phase. The pre-analytical phase is the most delicate one because in this phase 75% of errors are concentrated. Pre-analytical phase consists in processes that take place in the clinics and processes that take place in laboratory. we have chosen to use Tracie software to manage everything happens in the clinics. So this virtual assistant system allows to track the user, doctor or nurse, identify the patient, name, surname and date of birth, see tubes to use by a photo, collect clinical notes, for example, weight, height, drugs and pathologies, check exams to be performed, see day and time of sample collection, get indication on the treatment of the sample, for example, simplification, unequivocally associate the tube with the patient, and also it's useful to quantify user tubes in order to order them and discard user tubes giving a motivation. For example, the quantity of the sample is not enough. We decided to use this system because it's an intuitive system. Switching from the old system to the new system was quick and easy and required little adaptation time. We used two different types of tubes, pre-barcoded tubes by Greiner and other tubes, not barcoded tubes by any supplier, to which we attach neutral labels. Okay, 1 year after the opening of the lab, I submitted a survey to nurses and doctors. We are talking about 500 users. 96% of users answered that Tracie is an intuitive system. 89% of them say that Tracie improved and speeded up their work. 20% answered that they haven't any problem with Tracie, and 75% have very few problems with Tracie. Anyway, 93% of them answered that they would recommend Tracie. The little principal problems are instability of internet connection, because this system functions with Wi-Fi as an internet-based system, and the quantity of required clinical notes and informations. The biggest concern for the staff lab was related to the use of anonymous tubes. But when we want to know who patient is or look for a tube, we simply read the barcode. So after a short time of training and implementation, we don't have now any problems. For me, the top 3 obtained results are shown in this slide. We are eliminating errors, patient identity exchange, wrong tubes, wrong exams, missing clinical notes, and non-compliant samples. We are optimizing the costs. For example, in 2022, we saved 60,000 euros in printer maintenance, and we are full protecting patient data privacy. The nice thing in the collaboration between Sant'Agostino and Tracie is that we are working on further improvements. For example, I want to use Tracie to print informed consents when necessary, for example, HIV test, to record the transport of tubes from the clinics to the lab, and to implement all ideas that will come to us to improve and simplify this activity. So I hope I said interesting thing. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for this nice presentation, and I think it's really fascinating to see how many things you already have done there. It really looks very nice to me. Other questions? Yes, please. I think we have a microphone somewhere.
So sometimes technology, at least at the beginning, it might be slower than human beings doing stuff. So I was curious about how much time does it take for the patient to enter the room, do the blood sampling, and then exit the room.
Okay, thank you. We have reduced the time from with our system, I think 5 minutes, and now with this system we spend 4 minutes time. And this time the nurse identify the patient, and after take the tubes, collect the sample, associate the tube to patient, and finish. So we have reduced and optimized the nurse time.
Okay, and the feedback of the patient, I guess it's positive?
Yes, they are very, very happy, above because we protect their data, so it's an important point because the tubes are anonymous.
Okay, are there any other questions? I have one question. If you have these more modern fancy digital projects, sometimes you have with elder people an issue because they are not prepared.
Yeah, they dedicate all time to patients, yes.
How do you handle that?
How
do you handle that? With the elder patients probably not have this easy access to all these.
No, it's very okay. So they are happy because this time is very short. So in this experience is important.
Okay, and they come along with this.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. And we go to the third presentation by Olivier Garnier. Now we have that on the perspective of a big private lab group in France. Olivier Garnier is the managing director of the Biomedical Laboratory in France. As I said, a big private lab, and this is working for almost 20 years, so also very experienced in that and bring us the effect and the positive effects of these digitalization projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ciao a tutti. I'm Olivier Garnier. I'm a medical biologist and handling Euromedlab Labs, which have been belonging surveillance healthcare group since June 2022. Today, I'm going to talk about our feedback experiences of digitalizing preanalytics. First, I would like to introduce you Euromedlab Roma. We are located in the west of France. Our 10 sites are shared between Brittany and Pays de la Loire. We only manage quality approach in the 2000 years and get successfully ISO certification. Each day, we use to welcome 2,000 patients, tracking approximately 4,000 household collection samples to our two technical platforms. 40% of files are directly collected in the lab. Other files come mostly from mobile labs and another way from hospitals partners. Our main analytic partner and suppliers are Roche, Sysmex, and Sabo. Analyzers are connected with the Roche workshop. Then, why we choose the way of digitalization? Obviously, in daily practice, as whole lab, we were faced with the necessity to ladder and reliable samples which were time-consuming and related to labeling errors, as mixation, analyzer rejection, overlabeling, unfrequent nonconformity, as error in the choice of tubes and supernumerary tubes. In 2012, we had the opportunity to implement connected prescription with hospital partners. Feedback showed us reducing issue such as identity mistake, decreasing time to deliver results, and still improving nurses' experience of ergonomic work environment. Persistence of labeling problems with about 3% of our samples led us to the conviction that we could beyond an improvement with the patient care. As soon as we had been informed of the availability of pre-barcode tube, we had become aware of the amazing opportunity that represents. Then, what is the digitalization of preanalytic in Euromedlab? First, at the heart of the project, there are pre-barcode tubes, which are manufactured tubes with a unique barcode. These barcode tubes allow to associate an identification number to a patient without having to reload the tubes. Next, two different information processes have been designed according to the origin of blood sample. Either sample come from patient rooms in the lab or from mobile nurses. At first, at lab, we have been using Lab Collect module, which consists in a dedicated digitalized module for the sample room. It works in a bidirectional interface with the database LIS and allow full paper operation. For external sample, mobile nurses using a mobile application named PAD, which has been existing for several years and allows the recording of all information collected at home, including photos prescription, and directly transmitted to the LIS for registration. In the latest version, PAD apps can associate the sample by scanning barcode. Finally, at the lab reception desk, we are using a dedicated module linked with the LIS named LabFlow that allows us to validate the suitability of preanalytic files and be sure the corresponding file was already registered. All digitalized processes are complementary and allow traceability of all stages of the sample. Now, let's go back to see the evolution of each process before and after digitalization. At first, at lab. Before digitalization, process was done in elements. This classical process needed steps of registration, preparation, collection, identification, transportation to the technical platform, analyzing, leading to the results. This process was time and paper consuming and included many manual stages. With digitalization process in place in the lab, we save time in many steps, which decreased now to 6. The reception is the same, but the registration in the LIS is simplified because no need to take a copy of prescription, which is scanned and automatically transmitted by dematerialized way to Lab Collect. No longer need to print the clinical and information transmission form, which is directly registered in the collection room on Lab Collect, and no money level to stick on the sample. In whole, no need transmission of paper between participants, only the load collection remains unmade. The other pre-analytical and analytical steps remain as before until the results that can be transmitted in a shorter time. This slide shows in detail each step and the time saved with the digital process. Reception desk step remains the same. The state of registration is fully digitalized and paperless. Files are automatically transmitted for the LIS to lab collect. At the end of two identification, no need labor anymore. Unique private samples are linked directly and safely to the patient to the collection room. Ultimately, we have about 65 seconds per file that represent an increase of productivity around 20%. That leads to reducing patient waiting time at the lab, increasing appointment slots, and dealing with other administrative tasks. In our experience, blood collection made by mobile nurses at home represents between 30 to 40% of the lab files. Before digitalization process, the sample management took place in 12 steps. It involved many manual steps: step of preparation network transition sheet, sent upstream by the lab, step of identification of sample by sticking label and sometimes unwritten notification of the name on the tube, and clinical information paper profile. Step of transmission of the prescription attached to the sample in a dedicated patient bag. Once in the lab, registration into the LIS, relabeling with the LIS levels, scanning the prescription form on the transmission paper. The digitalization of the preanalytical files with the nurses modules allow us to drastically reduce the number of data entry in the lab. The digitalized process is able to associate demographic data, document, clinical information to tubes collected and scanned. As soon as the file is finalized on the application, data are transmitted automatically to be registered in the LIS before receiving the material. When the samples are received at the lab, they are simply scanned into the flow to acquit the pre-analytical phase and run on directly on automat. On this slide, the time saving between the two processes from 12 to 6 is really impressive. At the reception desk, the tube, already scanned and associated to the patient, are just scanned into the monitoring to check the file had already been registered in LIS before. Ultimately, upstream recording and no label to print and stick lead to save about 2 minutes and 10 seconds per files. That's to save almost 45% better productivity. As this slide shows, the TAT's evolution improves very significantly. Measurement indicator chosen is TAT 90. That translates the time needed to obtain 90% return result. Also, we have not fully deployed the solution. We have already reaped the benefits. The improvement evolved in 2 phases. Between April to November 22, corresponding to the full implementation of lab collect in all our 10 labs. Between November to April, corresponding to the beginning of mobile nurses' conversion to PAD and lab flow reception. In total, we are improving about 2 hours and 10 minutes rendering time. That means 22% improvement. Besides, shortening process time has allowed better respect for the employer's things, for the employer's schedule, and raise the volume of overtime. And lead us to consider in the medium term the reorganization of work schedule and work session. Then, how is the rollout phase going? In less than 3 months, we convert to digitalization process 200 nurses, which is around 40% of our mobile nurses partners. The graph shows the fast evolution of number of trained nurses and in parallel the increase of the number of PADs field recorded. The rollout was fast because the solution is really easy to train and easy to use. The mobile nurses survey confirms the benefit for them. As we mentioned, nurses understand how the solution is easy to use. Mainly, the idea to avoid looking for label and labeling tubes are seductive. And more generally, they find comfort in paperless method. Thanks to the preanalytic process improvement, they win time and have better relationships with the lab. They all agree about the interest of digitalization in blood collection process and will not go back. The other indicator we measured is the rate of result answered in less than 4 hours. We noticed between April 22 to April 23 an improvement of more than 10% answer. This indicator allows to hope improvement on the medical service provided to the patient and customer satisfaction and we hope fame of our lab. We notice a significant improvement of Google review since April 22. As we have seen, at registration desk, productivity increased around 20%. In addition to devoting the time saved to the upstream registration, the lab redeploys secretary time to other administrative tasks that were not done daily, as recording of social security and mutual insurance reimbursement data to update customer invoicing. The data shows that by daily deal with recovering administrative tasks, we notice a significant improvement of financial post-analytic indicator, and we are used to follow. Then around 50% reduction in cash unrecovery and 30% reduction of insurance rejected transmission. Conclude, finally, here is a summary of the benefit of digitalization for each of the actors of the sampling process. For patients, improving confidence from registration, no more intrusive questions with other patients around. All questions are asked in collection room. Better organization at the registration desk, reducing patient waiting line at the lab. Better confidence of the patient in the lab, which develop solutions to improve their comfort on the turnaround time on result. For phlebotomists, full process is ergonomic, paperless, labelless, intuitive, and easy to use, with access of all information about the collection on one screen in the collection room. In terms of quality, the phlebotomist benefit from full traceability, including alarm in case of expiration date of tubes. For lab, the add value is major. Euromedlab has enhanced its productivity, flow, and efficiency, and so make the lab to be able to change, adapt, improve a lot of other processes which at the aim generate financial savings. At registration desk, the lab redeploys secretaries, time to other administrative tasks. In terms of traceability and quality, errors related to labeling and some non-conformity are eliminated. There has also been a significant improvement in human resources management with the mobile nurse and with the employees. Work time and mission are distributed in a homogeneous way. At last, but not least, thanks to the registration of the files does not require to have the file does not require to have the sample taken. Euromedlab modifies and adapts better its route plans in order to receive the sample even earlier than before, and to reduce the time needed to process them. For suitability, no more paper on copy, no more label to print, no notice and we notice an important decrease of the general volume of waste, of paper waste, that represents around 2 kilos paper waste per day. We can conclude that after only a few months of use, the gain linked to the implementation of such a solution are significant and convincing. And to finish, of course, I want to thank you for listening, and I take advantage of the presentation to Warning Science, Werner Lewan, and Céline Tomasso, and my colleague Chloe for our partnerships and relationships based on truth, work, serious, and friendships, without what we would not have been present today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these nice and I think encouraging insights of this effect. Are there questions in the auditorium? No questions. I have just one question here. That approach you had there was, of course, including many people. There you showed it, this large scale there. Is there this training? You said it was easy to train. Is there something, or how did you perform this training? How long can we get an idea how long it takes to train the people?
The solution is very easy to train people. To train a blood collector in the labs take more or less than an hour. 1 hour to form one colleague. And we form mobile nurses, takes about 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours. And we began progressively, but because we think we will have some questions and some call of mobile nurses, and not very lot call from mobile nurses, and it's very easy to train. Very easy to train, very easy to use, really.
Okay. Thank you very much. So finally, I want to close the session. I thank you for your attendance. I hope some of you probably get something as a take-home message, picked up something what's probably also interesting to implement at home. And I also want to thank again Tracie for sponsoring that session. Thank you very much.